If anybody ever says the air conditioning does not work here in this building, they are kidding themselves. The one night I don't bring a jacket. I mean, you could hang meats up in here tonight. It's beautiful, though. It's AC's working. All right, Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5, presented by the Daspit Law Firm. We're on the air. Call-in number tonight, 713-780-3776. The same as always, we stream at ESPN975.com. I want your takes on anything. Could be Inter Milan winning their 20th Serie A title today as they beat AC Milan 2-1. Could be on the Houston Dynamo, a painful loss to Austin FC. I don't care what you say. Losing to Austin FC is painful, especially since they've been struggling a bit as of late, certainly on the road. The return of Hector Herrera, that's a positive. More on that. More on Maria Sanchez to San Diego tonight. And Nottingham Forest doing a lot of whining right now because they didn't get some penalty calls. And, okay, they might have some validity to it, but wait till you hear what they're doing. We'll get into that tonight. Jesse Marsch to Canada as a national team coach. These are all things that are being bannered around. By the way, Serginho Dest getting injured now. That is not good. So who's in the pole position at right back for the United States national team? Something else we can talk about here tonight. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Glenn Davis Sock, at Soccer Matters GD. And don't forget to go over to our YouTube Soccer Matters page because it's in one click. You subscribe, you're there. Guillermo's putting a lot of our great content up over there. We're doing pre- and post-game shows for the Houston Dynamo with Justin Finger. So a lot of good stuff going on, as always. All right, big thank you to Danish Inspirations, Pitch 25, Lamont Brands, Cactus Music, Q O'Connor's a big thank you. Tonight, when you hear the music tonight, there is a theme. And if you call in, this is pretty easy. If you call in and tell me what the theme is tonight and tie it into something, you will win a pair of tickets to the Dynamo St. Louis. I think that's the next home game for the Houston Dynamo. They go down 1-0 to Austin FC. Not happy about that. Greg Lalas, the brother, yes, of Alexi Lalas, and that's not how I'm going to introduce him because this guy stands on his own. Chief Marketing Officer at the USL, all the different levels, including the new Women's League. He's on tonight. We'll talk to him about marketing the game in this country. He's been involved in it. He's had a real passion play for the sport his entire career, doing a variety of different things. But we'll talk about the importance of the USL Championship and the differing USL leagues and why it's important. We got Theater of the Bizarre tonight as well, and much, much more. But we're going to start off here tonight. Here we go. 90+1, the Clasico Real Madrid against Barcelona. This pains my producer, Guillermo Lazo Romero, very much. But here is Jude Bellingham. Hey, Jude, in the 90+1 to win it for Real Madrid.
Diaz loves these buzzy little runs. This is another pretty good-looking one. Lucas Vazquez early to Joselu, and Bellingham to win it for Real Madrid. Just like he did earlier on in the season at Montjuic. Jude Bellingham's 21st of the season.
In his first season. Don't forget, Jude Bellingham was in the England midfield that the U.S. totally outplayed in the World Cup. Guys like Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie, they outplayed the English midfield in that game. Just didn't get their just desserts with the goal. But Jude Bellingham is absolutely killing it in his first season for Real Madrid. Fantastic. Here's Carlo Ancelotti, Don Carlo, in Spanish, post-match here on The Win.
En los últimos partidos contra Barcelona, sobre todo en el partido de la Supercopa, obviamente hemos intentado de presionar un poco más arriba porque jugábamos a casa y no siempre esto ha salido bien. Y después nos ha faltado un poco de acierto en los últimos 30 metros. A veces la salida desde atrás ha sido buena, a veces no. Creo que hemos forzado demasiado luego por fuera, cuando por dentro teníamos superioridad. Okay. Pero ha sido un partido como tenía que hacer.
So you can tell how passionate he is. He's talking about a great week. He's talking about beating Manchester City, right, obviously, in the Champions League, and then about this win. Anything else in there you glean out of that, Guillermo?
Yeah, he just goes into the tactics and saying how it was very two-sided. There was a lot of things that they did wrong, and there's a lot of things that they did right. And then he goes on to say, like, oh, this game happened exactly the way it needed to happen for them.
I love Ancelotti. You cannot ever not appreciate his amazing success, both as a player and a coach. I mean, it's remarkable. His autobiography is great because there's a lot of talk about food in there. He loves food, although he's kept himself in very good shape. But I don't know. When I watch Real Madrid play and you've got Vinicius Jr. up front, I mean, you've got all this crazy attacking talent, Bellingham, and that's the way you play with those type of guys. And you sit back an entire game against City, and I know you're out there going, oh, but look, he tactically won the game. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, he did. Nobody's taking that away. On the other hand, the amount of chances missed by City, you might be here then reversing, it's kind of like the Dynamo in Minnesota, right? 2-1 victory. You got it done somehow. But you were outplayed. You won that game because of persistence, the ability to stick in a game, outstanding goalkeeping, the collective spirit that's under Ben Olsen, which is undeniable, that the Dynamo go out and play hard every game. And when you play hard every game and you're committed and you're collective and defending is your priority, you're going to be in a lot of games, and you will win games like that. You will also lose games like that, like you did to Austin, because you don't have an attack that is working. So, long ball that should be headed and cleared away. We'll get more into this in the second segment, but you got a cushion of 2 goals, you still win the game. But when you don't have a cushion ever, mistakes become magnified. All right, 713-780-3776. Any Madristas out there? Anything to say? All right, Inter Milan wins today over AC Milan. Thuram, yes, that is Lilian Thuram's son, scoring in the 49th minute. This is the game-winning goal. It's 2-1, and Inter Milan wins the Serie A title. Just blowing everybody out.
Thuram, the subject of this direct ball, and has to ward off Tomori. That's Mkhitaryan for company, but gets a second bite at it. Here's Thuram cutting inside. Thuram! Oh! What a hand on the 20th Scudetto, surely now! The second star will be coming to the blue half of Inter.
Hard to compete with that crowd as a commentator. That's some natural sound right there. There's no question about that. Yeah, it's great stuff. All right, so weeks back, if you remember, I had Sarah Clapson of the Nottingham Post on the show in the United Kingdom, and she was talking about Nottingham Forest. We were talking about Gio Reyna, and then I'd led her into discussion about the club hiring, quote unquote, a referee analyst. So this was the famous referee Mark Clattenburg, who was hired by Nottingham Forest. And let's just play a little bit of this sound, and we may not play it all, Guillermo, but let's play the sound here when we're talking about this new position that Nottingham Forest created. So basically what they're doing is they're hiring a former ref. He's going to do reports on the refereeing crew for your game. He's going to come in and talk to the players and the coach about it, what to expect from the referees, what type of referees they are. Can you talk to them? How do they define a foul? All these different things. I'm assuming other clubs are going to start doing this. But here's the conversation we had, and then it's going to lead into something that has happened this weekend. Sarah, I saw something interesting. Mark Clattenburg is the club's referee analyst. So right. Is this a new position? Do all the Premier League teams have this? Is this somebody that goes over? What is the role of that person? Obviously, it's to talk about the controversial moments in games, but what are they? What is that role? Maybe define it.
Yeah, I still don't probably know. They only brought him in a few weeks ago, and it is very new. They are the first Premier League club to do it. I think now that Forest have opened that door, other clubs will probably think, "Oh, hang on a minute, they might be onto something. We'll maybe look at that."
I think you're right.
Yeah.
If it runs through the Premier League, you guys are going to get credit for starting it. All right, so here's the thing with this. Everybody's looking for an edge. So the first time somebody was really going heavy on data, everybody else does it, right, if they're successful. So you got a lot of data now. Now people are going to get referee assessors. But this weekend, Nottingham Forest put a tweet out. Now, granted, this is a team with huge history, back-to-back European Cups way back. They put out a tweet that said, 3 extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which we simply cannot accept. We warned the PGMOL. The PGMOL is is basically the referees group. That the VAR referee was a Luton fan. Okay, because this happened against Luton before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. Newcastle Football Club will now consider options. So, I mean, it's just not a good look, and they're taking a lot of criticism for it. It is kind of whiny. I mean, they took it public. So if you imagine now that everybody begins, and granted, some of these were bad calls, but I think we all assume every year we are going to get some bad calls. We're going to get some good ones. We just, some are magnified based on the competition. In this case, Nottingham Forest, this is all about money because they're trying to survive. They're trying to stay in the Premier League. It's ridiculous the amount of money lost if they go down. So you can see there's a hint of desperation in this as well. So pretty fascinating. But I think you're going to see every Premier League team have a referee analyst at some point, I think. And that's going to open a bunch of jobs up for former Premier League referees. Just can't go overboard with it. Apple reportedly nearing a deal with FIFA for the TV rights to a new month-long World Cup-style tournament. That's the Club World Cup, over $1 billion. This agreement would grant Apple TV the global streaming rights for the event set to take place in the U.S. next summer. So that's the Club World Cup, which is coming here. This move signifies a significant investment in sports content by Apple. They continue to get content. The company is also in the running for the NBA rights. Discussion among fans and industry observers revolve around the implications of this major event potentially being placed again behind a paywall, which is always the thing that everybody. So if you're going to want to watch it, you're going to have to pay for it. FIFA Club World Cup, it'll be in the U.S. We got Copa America coming this summer. We got Brazil up in College Station. You got Inter Miami taking on Tigres. You have the Dynamo in Leagues Cup against Atlas from Mexico. Go to Lone Star Sports and Entertainment.net. That's where you get your tickets for these. So Brazil, Mexico, College Station, Kyle Field, history. Then you got Mexico, Jamaica. Then you got what I think is I think this may be the gem of, well, seeing Brazil is pretty hip right before the Copa America. And you would think, we were talking with Vicente before we came on the air, that, Brazil, at least for 45 minutes, is going to float out their first team. So, it's Vinicius, Rodrigo, you're thinking of all these guys. But the Colombia-Paraguay game is one I would highly suggest to people. Of course, everybody's going to want to see Messi, and then you got a playoff game. If Messi's group wins, Argentina wins their group, then you're going to get a knockout stage game. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Theater of the Bizarre, and let me tell you, this is bizarre. You will not believe this story that's coming back. So we'll come back, open it up with Theater of the Bizarre. I do want to remind you, this is Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5. Get down to Pitch 25. This is the ultimate destination for watching soccer in Houston. If you ever want the feel of really being at a game, Pitch 25 is a great place to go. They got 100 beers on tap. They got a soccer field there. Brian Ching and company down there do a great job. Big, wide open place. And you got the Euros this summer, too. I mean, we're forgetting about the Euros. There's the Olympics, which I'm not putting in the category of the Euros, but the Olympics are interesting because you see a lot of young talent. It's crazy what we got going. It's crazy what we got going through Houston with Copa America, with Leagues Cup, with Brazil coming here. I mean, nobody in Houston can complain. You got options. All right, this is Love is Strong. So remember what I said. There is a particular theme here tonight. You got to tie it in. Take a break. Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5, presented by the Daspit Law Firm. Greg Lalas, by the way, Alexi Lalas' brother, will join us in the final segment tonight.
You are listening to Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN 92.5.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, we welcome you back to the show. Remember, listen to the music tonight, tie it into something that's happening, and you win a pair of tickets to the Dynamo St. Louis. I mean, it's as easy as can be. 713-780-3776 is a number to call in here tonight. Hey, just a great reminder here for Hugh O'Connor's Pub. It's out on I-10, the Marquee Entertainment Center. Get out there. Great whiskey offerings, great spot to watch all the Premier League, all the good action this summer, like we were talking about with Pitch 25. We got great spots in Pitch 25 and Hugh O'Connor's Pub to watch games. So head out there. Also, LamontBrands.com. Soccer Matters T-shirts there. We got them in orange. We got them in red. New colors in. Get yours. They're light cotton. They're the best in cotton. I picked it out myself. $20. All the proceeds go to the 501c Charity Snowdrop Foundation.
There's a lot of strange stuff that happens in the world of soccer.
It's clear something strange is happening.
So much so that Glenn ended up buying out a theater to showcase all of the weird stuff. It's time for Glenn's Theater of the Bizarre.
Oh, I love that intro. That is great work. All right, they say goalkeepers are cut from a different cloth, and I think most of us will attest to that. A couple that were on the pro team I was on definitely were on that edge. I hope Mike Barbrick's not listening to the show tonight. Bill Irwin was a very reserved kind of a goalkeeper. We called him the quiet man. Okay, so this is definitely out of the theater of the bizarre. Nahuel Guzman is Argentine. He's a Tigres goalkeeper. He's been suspended. You're not going to believe for what. He was suspended 11 games and fined for pointing a laser at fellow goalkeeper Esteban Andrada, who plays for Rayados, during a tournament match last week. Now, this was announced by Liga MX. So this guy's up there, 38-year-old Guzman. He's recovering from knee surgery. He's up in some kind of a booth in the visiting team's box at BBVA Stadium in Monterrey, that beautiful stadium that's going to host World Cup games, last Saturday during the first half. And he's up there with a laser pointing it in the direction of Andrada, who, by the way, is also Argentine and the starting goalkeeper for Rayados. Monterrey's sports president, Jose Antonio Noriega, went to the box, took the laser away in the first half. The game ended 3-3. It was a wild game. In addition to the suspension and fine, Guzman has to do community work. But this is the first time in the history of Mexican soccer that a player has been sanctioned for pointing a laser at a rival. Now, that is living up to the theater of the bizarre.
Yep, that was weird.
That was weird. All right, let's get into some other things. Okay, so let's go to the Dynamo, and let's basically get into some Dynamo, some Dash talk here. Let's go. Let's start off with first off. Let's just get the game-winning goal in here. Here's Emiliano Rigoni. This is the call on the local call for Apple TV.
Careful, Rigoni shot off the post and in. Unbelievable. It's a maligned DP who's been criticized a tremendous amount. He has just come up with likely his biggest goal for Austin FC.
So Rigoni gets in behind, hits the post. It goes into the left of Steve Clark. It was a flick on. Now, Rigoni's the DP that everybody in Austin's been absolutely hammering. So this brings a little different element to this as well. He's a guy that is underproduced. He's been on a lot of big teams. He's bounced around, but he has not connected to the quality and level of a DP. Even though you notice he's got some qualities, right? It just hasn't worked in goals and assists. The flick on is from an Austin FC 2 player who got called up for the game. CJ Fadri is his name. He played against the Dynamo 2 team a couple of weeks ago and scored a goal in that game. And Austin beat Dynamo 2 in that game. So he comes from the blind side of Hector Herrera, who, by the way, was admittedly, he said he was tired after 15 minutes, which you would expect. Comes from the blind side off a goal kick from Brad Stuver, a long ball that's in the air. Hector does not go up and attack it. And this kid just knifes in front of him, flicks it, and flicks it behind literally 6 players. And Rigoni is in a power position running towards goal because he's doing the normal thing I'm going to run off this guy and hopefully get on the end of it. And he does, and he scores. Absolutely crazy. The Flick beats 6 Dynamo defenders. And that's how the Dynamo lose this game. Now, Hector Herrera's coming back is big news. Crowd loved it. Here's what it sounded like when Hector came into the game.
So here we go. Well over 100 caps. World Cups for Mexico. Atletico Madrid in La Liga. Hector Herrera returns here in 2024 in Major League Soccer. Listen to this crowd.
Now, he's still way off fitness-wise. You could sense his impact, though, when he came on. You could sense it. It was a great moment. The fans were really connected with his return. He had one really good chance, actually. And immediately, the Dynamo kind of went into last year's mode of operation, get him the ball. It's great he's back. I don't think Ben Olsen is going to open up the tactics in the future, and I believe the Dynamo are going to continue to play a narrow sort of inverted game. But with Hector there, I would think you would get more chance creation, no question. He had 17 assists last year. But I don't think the game model is going to change. It's defend in possession over anything right now. And Hector has endorsed Sebas Ferreira. The Dynamo are really counting on him to be the goal scorer unless they do something in the transfer window in the summer with some of the rule changes. But you're going to get a boost with Hector Herrera. Jefferson Valverde, a defensive midfielder, was signed. Mackenzie Gaines. Gaines, I've seen him play a lot. He's from Austin, Texas. That's nice. Powerful. He's a runner. He'll get behind defenses, but he doesn't have a noteworthy goal-scoring history. So I think that's pretty clear on him, but we'll see. So here's Ben Olsen post-match.
Disappointed, right? I mean, we did so much well over the course of the game, 17 shots, 4 or 5 of them really good looks, and we got to give our defense a little bit of a break. They've been great this year, and they've been putting up zeros, the disappointing is a little bit of a naive goal, if we're honest, or goal kick down the heart. It's a tough one to swallow. In particular after we did so much well. Guys, gave everything and tactically they implemented I think the game plan, and for the most part it worked. But you can do all these things right and get this many shots and have the ball and get in good positions. But soccer's a little bit of a cruel game sometimes, and you can't find the net. And if a team can come in and snatch and grab a goal, that's sometimes the game. So we gotta take that, we gotta eat it, and get back to work.
Yeah. So the naive goal came off the goal kick from Brad Stuver, who was going long all night, and it was Hector Herrera didn't attack the ball. He actually took a step backwards, and the 19-year-old kid, or he might even be 18, just nipped in front of him, flicked the header on, and that's how they got him behind. Now, to be critical of Hector Herrera, people are probably out there going, hey, you can't do that. But that's what happened in the game, if we're being truthful, for whatever the reason. But team's going to grow a couple of inches when he gets back. I want to note Daniel Steres. He was very strong at left back in this game. Dangerous attacking free kicks. Almost had the flicked on header in the first half. Griffin Dorsey, right now, I almost think he would be good to get a bit of a rest right now and let Escobar play right back for a game or so. He's lacking the end product. He was super gassed in the second half right in front of the bench. And teams realize now that Aliou and Dorsey are the key kind of wider attacking pieces. And the Dynamo, I do like trying to come up with ideas since Ferreira was injured. I like this thing with Amin Bassi and Sebastian Kowalczyk as false nines. I think that's okay. I don't think it's a long-term thing, but I think it was a really interesting solution to come up with by the Dynamo. If you're a forward and you're not playing because you're using 2 false nines, you got to be a little bit worried. But the Dynamo were thin at that position. We'll see what happens in the summer. They did an excellent job, the Dynamo, taking Alex Ring and Danny Pereira out of the build-up. Thus, Sebastian Driussi, who 2 years ago was lights out, really had a rough night. And the Dynamo fouled him a lot. They made it very uncomfortable for him. They always got a second defender around him. But you know, when the Dynamo lose these close games, it's always about not finishing, and nothing's changed there. The eggs are in the basket of Sebas Ferreira now. The eggs are in the basket of a potential move in the summer. I don't think it doesn't sound like it would be somebody high profile. I know the fans want that. It could be another under 22 type player. But I think it's pretty clear where your strengths and weaknesses are. And the strengths are great collective defending, great spirit under this coach, great possession game, good possession game. But at the end of the day, you don't have goal scorers in high positions. So it's a little bit of hope and possibility. And as Ben Olsen said, mistakes are then going to be magnified when you never have a cushion. And you know, all last year, these defenders played under a lot of pressure. And by the way, it may not be as much as we think, and I'll tell you why. Because the Dynamo possession game was so good. That is part of your defending. I mean, simply having the ball, because the opponent doesn't have the ball. So those are some thoughts there. We'll take your calls at 713-780-3776. Now, I want to bring some comedy to this, because there's a guy in Austin, and I want to get him on the show. His name is, I guess this is his stage name. His name is Alistair McAllister. Now, we're going to play, you know, I think what he does is post-game, he takes a highlight and he puts voice to it with comedy. This is very, very funny, but I want to just set it up so everybody knows. This is Emiliano Rigoni, who's a designated player, who's been under pressure, who scores the game winner, as he's describing this, just like I did. His is a lot funnier than my call. And you have to take into the effect that this Emiliano Rigoni has been getting criticized. He hasn't scored goals. Nobody's expecting anything out of him. So check this out. This is Alistair McAllister on the goal call.
4 minutes to go here in Houston. Stu, but that's a brilliant pass. CJ with a nod on to Rigoni, and he scored a goal. He scored a goal! Get the Rigoni fans come on the phone and tell both of them that he has scored his first goal of the season. The first of many. Yes, it actually went in. Never doubted him.
Never doubted him. Get the Rigoni fan. Play that again. I love that. Play that again.
4 minutes to go here in Houston. Stu, but that's a brilliant pass. CJ with a nod on to Rigoni, and he scored a goal. He scored a goal! Get the Rigoni fans come on the phone and tell both of them that he has scored his first goal of the season. The first of many. Yes, it actually went in. Never doubted him.
Never doubted him. That's some pretty funny stuff right there. I got to get him on the show. I got to get him on the radio show. All right. One more quick hit on Maria Sanchez going to San Diego. Okay, look, she's going to be playing up front with Jaden Shaw, Alex Morgan. You're going to watch her take off. My gut is she's going to do very well out there. She's not going to have to be the show. She's not the type of player I think you can build an entire team around. I think they're going to limit her defensive responsibilities in some way. But with Alex Morgan, with Jaden Shaw in and around her, there's going to be good things that happen for her. I know everybody's upset she left. She's got her reasons, obviously. Listen, there's been a litany of coaches. There's been a lack of consistency, even after, the playoff run. When Ebony Salmon was here and the head coach at that time was Juan Carlos Amoros. Then Diana Ordonez came in. And by the way, I give Diana Ordonez a lot of credit. She had their lone goal in Portland, but she came out and got out in front and really addressed kind of everything that's going on, and I thought was very thoughtful, very honest, and in some ways very Caitlin Clark-like, right? Just right to the point, really being honest. And I think that's what Dash fans they want to hear. They want somebody out front to tell us kind of what's going on, and I give Diana a lot of credit. I thought it was very impressive, as it is with the way Caitlin Clark handles herself in all this press now. I mean, can you imagine all the attention, the amount of shows she's having to do, the questions you're getting asked? But I think that's a big piece of it. But you're gonna probably, I think it's pretty. You're gonna see Maria Sanchez take off. And listen, the other thing you have to factor into this: players are gonna gravitate now to the teams that draw crowds, where you get attention, where you can build your brand, all this stuff. You want to play in front of people. Players are naturally entertainers. All right. I mean, if I can't be any more obvious on this music and what's going on Sunday night. I mean, if you want a pair of tickets to the Houston Dynamo against St. Louis, just call in and state the obvious to us, and you will have a pair of tickets. 713-780-3776, 713-780-3776. Danish Inspirations, Modern Contemporary Furniture. Our great friend Jan Christensen, get over there. It is the best in modern contemporary furniture. And again, Lone Star Sports and Entertainment, lsse.net. Get your tickets. If you want to see Lionel Messi, it's Inter Miami and Tigres. It's going to be a big moment for Tigres taking on Inter Miami in front of a lot of their fans here in Houston. There's going to be a lot of Messi fans. There's going to be a lot of Tigres fans. LSSE.net. Get your Copa America tickets. Get your Leagues Cup tickets. Get your Brazil-Mexico tickets. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Greg Lalas of the USL is next.
You're listening to Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN 92.5.
Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
A couple of signs here that Inter Miami are finding their way into this match. Little touch for Messi. Messi, edge of the penalty area. Still Messi, goes to his left. Big save from Panico. Super one-handed stop. Messi, rebounded it. It's been all Nashville so far, and the first break and the first moment of weakness for Nashville at the back is exploited by that man once again. Lionel Messi, 1-1. Tata Martino will be worried about that one. Panigo's beat at the net post. It's it. Messi's delivery was world class. And just the slightest of touches takes it home. Joe Willis on as a substitute at half-time. Up against Lionel Messi. Willis to try and keep his team in the game. He does it. Messi.
Won over Nashville as Lionel Messi was there. That was heartbreaker by the Rolling Stones. I think somebody finally picked up on the Rolling Stones, so they're going to win tickets to Dynamo St. Louis. They probably wish they were winning tickets to the Stones, but couldn't come up with that. Riqui Puig scoring in the 56 for the LA Galaxy, 4-3. The California Clasico living up to it. The Galaxy win.
Both with some attacking go forward here. Jovic, look at Puig in that middle run. Gabriel Peck, San Jose getting stretched. Paintsel wide open. Puig, yes! Riqui Puig in the 56th minute.
Turning it on. Remember when he came over from Barcelona? Everybody was wondering, he's flashy in Barcelona. The Catalans were on him, the cars, the jewelry, the watches. He's been pretty engaged since he's been here. He's been great. All right, the next guy's been engaged too. Truly passionate about the game, has done a lot of really, really interesting things. He is Greg Lalas. He is the Chief Marketing Officer for USL, which is USL Championship, obviously, USL League One, and the upcoming Women's League. Greg, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Hey, Glenn.
Where are we at?
Great
Brooklyn?
to have you.
We in Brooklyn
Yeah,
tonight?
I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah. I'm in Brooklyn.
All right. How's everything on the East Coast? You holding it down?
We're holding it down. Still a little chilly. We're kind of waiting for spring to truly break here, but but it's coming. I can feel it coming.
Yeah, I saw the temperatures on the news. I was like, okay. I was thinking of my mother up there, who's 98 years old. But let's get into to you and your career, and let's first start with some USL talk, because there's a lot of exciting things. I mean, from the outside looking in, I've always just thought, wow, the USL is doing great things in great markets, providing jobs and careers for people, playing opportunities. Maybe just some general thoughts on your time now with the USL as the Chief Marketing Officer.
Yeah, the USL history actually goes back to the early 90s, and in various forms the league has existed. And then it was probably about 10 and 12 years ago that things really started to shore up and become a little bit more concrete about what it is. And then the USL Championship, which is the top tier of the USL ecosystem, which you mentioned, or the top tier of our pyramid, if you will, is a fully professional men's league that, we have 24 teams across the country with a pretty aggressive expansion plan of, 5 or 6 more over the next few years. So, we're bringing a great soccer experience to many markets that are craving. You know as well as I do how hungry this country is for more soccer, and to get for fans to get like a little closer to what it means, right? They'll watch, the Premier League, they'll watch Serie A and Champions League, they'll watch the World Cup, they'll watch MLS, right? But, to have that team in your local community really matters. So that's what we've been doing, and we're doing it at all kinds of levels. We have 2 men's professional leagues, the USL Championship and USL League One. And then this August, as you mentioned, we're going to launch the USL Super League, which is a first division professional women's league that we're really excited about, and how we can bring, professional women's soccer closer to home for players and fans across the country.
Greg Lalas joining us, USL Chief Marketing Officer. He does it all: communications, the digital, the content brand, fan engagement. Let's talk about fan engagement. As you've gone around the country, I know there's some really unique kind of venues and unique markets. I know New Mexico is a really cool one, but what are some of the ones you could maybe enlighten our listeners to?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I think really differentiates the USL is that all of our clubs have a really strong approach to having a positive impact in their communities, right? And so, yes, they want to be professional soccer clubs, and they want to have a great experience, and their businesses too, right? They want to make money or not lose money, but they're really trying to have an impact in their local communities. And what that leads to is an incredible relationship with the fans and their supporters. So a couple that I would tick off. You mentioned New Mexico. New Mexico United is always at the top of the charts for us for attendance and for interest. And they are actually in the process of moving toward getting their own soccer-specific stadium down there. So making some real progress there, which is really exciting. And they've done a tremendous job to galvanize and unite that community in New Mexico around the game and the impact they're having. A couple others I would bring up, obviously, my hometown, Detroit. Detroit City FC has made a splash over the last 10 years, and the atmosphere that they bring at their games, and
that's
they're
pretty
off
crazy.
To their best start. They're undefeated so far, five wins in 5 games so far this season with, Danny Dichio, who you probably know and are aware of from his time playing in England, and then obviously with Toronto FC. And he's the head coach there and doing a fantastic job. But there are others too, right? So Charleston Battery has done a fantastic job in a small market, a really small market, but they're one of the oldest professional clubs in America, going all the way back to 1993. In existence for that. And some of those other ones that you also would be aware of is like Sacramento Republic, right? Another great one with a tremendous fan experience. But I think probably the one that we put up as our flagship right now is Louisville City FC. And, their ownership has made a commitment to their community, and they've built a beautiful 12,000-seat stadium, which is where they play their home games. And they get a great crowd out there that puts on a good show every time, and the team has been consistently very good. And, it's no coincidence that a couple weeks ago, we worked with our new partners at CBS to put them on big CBS for a massive national television opportunity for us. And they delivered. I mean, 8 goals. It was a 5-3 game, and fans were crazy. So, those are some of the markets that we're having that impact on and really showcasing really well.
Talking to Greg Lalas, the USL Chief Marketing Officer. By the way, New Mexico United, for our listeners, the coach is Eric Quill, who's the Houston area product who went on to play in Major League Soccer, grew up on the fields here in Houston, and then the Dynamo will play Detroit in the Open Cup. So there's a lot of great ties there. And we've got San Antonio FC and El Paso. San Antonio FC fans are always going to feel they got backdoored by Major League Soccer. Is the aim of some of these teams, Greg, to showcase itself so that it does have a shot one day at expansion into MLS?
Look, I think what we're trying to do is make the USL a property that is less about that and more about that the USL is viable, right, and sustainable and growing, and what we would say, becoming, one of the best leagues in the world. We think we really want to push ourselves, right? And so, what an individual club is looking to do in the future is really up to them and what they'd like to do. But as we get stronger and we get better on the field and off the field and our business side and our attendance goes up and TV goes up and things like that, I think what we're doing is we're building an alternative to what exists, and we're in markets that are incredibly viable as professional soccer markets. And I think we're delivering a really great product on the field and off the field. So when we look to the future to that, we continually think about, well, what are some other things that would make us different and make us, desirable for a soccer fan to come out and check us out and try some things. And I'm sure we're going to get into this a little bit, but that we've talked about potentially installing a kind of promotion relegation system within the USL ecosystem. And we are seriously considering that because, as you can imagine, that would be a really great differentiator for us that could drive a lot of fan engagement, a lot of interest around the world, and further our strategic goals. Now, there are a lot of complications to doing something like this. And I don't think we even realized when we started thinking about this a couple of years ago how complex it was to get something like this going. So we're still making sure that we're going to do it the right way because you're only going to get one shot at it, and we don't want it to fail. So we want to make sure we do it right. But that's the kind of thing that I think any club in the USL and maybe outside of the USL would look at and say, oh, this is where I want to be. I don't have aspirations for some other thing. This is where I need to be because it is vital, it's authentic, and honestly, it's fun, right? It's different.
Sure.
So those are kinds of clubs and owners that we are attracting and that we want to have in our ecosystem.
And that's, just for my listeners, that's between USL Championship and USL League One, right? That's not something that ultimately you're going to propose to Major League Soccer, or it may have been proposed. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the thing about soccer in America is you basically have two or more, right? It's more than that actually, separate entities, and they operate separately. Like a Coke and a Pepsi, if you will, or a McDonald's and a Burger King, or something like that. And they're doing different things. So, I spent 10 years at MLS. I'm very proud of the work that I did when I was there. I played in MLS for a couple of years. And I'm very proud of what has been built there. But now we're building something else. And that something else is, in my mind, just as important and equally incredible to what is being built. And you and I have been doing this a long time. And the passion is really to grow the game, right? And the USL has teams in 200 communities across this country when you think about the professional level and the national amateur level. And so we're having a huge impact across the country in the player development and fan development. We're bringing up young players who are getting sold to big clubs in Europe, And that impact is coming through the way that we're doing it, which is different than the way other people are doing it or other organizations. And we're really proud of that. If I can put on my marketing hat a little bit more even, it leads us to what I think of as the USL, which is that we're the heartbeat of American soccer. Because we're having such an important cultural impact around the game in so many communities. right? And it's really cool to see it starting to really pick up steam and get some real life.
Greg, would you call it a league maybe a little bit more in this moment for the American player?
I think what it is that we have established over the last couple of years, especially when you think about the American players, right? We've established a really good pathway for young, talented players to join our first teams, get really good playing time. We're willing to give them, our clubs are willing to give them a shot. And you're starting to see them move. So like Louisville City sold Joshua Winder to Benfica last summer. Right, that was a big deal. He played for the for the under-20 national team and did well there. And then he made his move to Benfica. We've had Orange County sold, a player Osundina to Feyenoord, and he's done very well since he got to the Netherlands.
Didn't San Antonio FC, Greg? I thought San Antonio FC sold a player to Europe too.
Yeah, they have. And really what's happening, what we're seeing is that everyone is selling players now. We're looking to find young talent. And, you're starting to see young players and their agents or their parents or whatever see the viability of that pathway and say, wait a second, there's another way to do this. And that other way might be, I don't have to leave my hometown of Louisville or San Antonio or El Paso, right? And you mentioned Diego Luna, right, from El Paso and then going to RSL. Right. And they're saying, I'm not getting the chance over here at this academy or youth development system. I'm going to go and play at a USL team. They're going to give me that shot, and I'm then going to make the most of that. And we're seeing that more and more. And I can tell you, it's a strategic decision we've made to try to do that and make sure that we have the right people in place to develop players in the right way.
Greg, not to cut you off, we only got about a minute and a half left, and we need to bring you back on because this could be an interview that could be another segment. And I do want to ask you, as a soccer country, and I'm talking about MLS maybe predominantly, are we sometimes too ultra-sensitive? Are the coaches a little bit too sensitive when they get a tough question? Is there a little bit too much of the clandestine, veil of secrecy that goes on with the media and injury? Because you wore your hat there. You did a lot of great work for MLS. Do you think that's got to loosen up at some point?
I mean, maybe. Look, the coaches are under a lot of pressure to succeed and more pressure. And I think what will happen, though, is, this country is still, we don't, you and I have been around for a long time. It's still an emerging soccer nation. We're still building this soccer nation. And until it really reaches that point of, fervor that you get in, say, Mexico or Argentina or England or Italy.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. Do we need more healthy pressure? I didn't ask that question well. Do we need more healthy pressure on all these teams so we all can succeed and be even better?
Yes, I think pressure is important. It's vital, and not just for the coaches, but for the players, for the staff, for the clubs, for everybody, right? That pressure is what's going to move them along to get better in the general scheme of all of this. So I think it's going to come, right? And you can see as soccer grows, we're all looking at 2026, right? And when that hits, that's when I think we'll see whether that pressure starts to come because the game explodes from that emerging leagues or those emerging sport into something even much bigger and stronger.
Great stuff tonight, Greg. I got to go. I really appreciate you coming on. He's Greg Lalas, the USL Chief Marketing Officer. He's done a lot of other really interesting stuff with soccer films and everything else. We'll get into that another time. We'll get you on again soon, Greg. Outstanding stuff. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Man, appreciate it.
Yep. That's Greg Lalas. And yes, I didn't want to say it. I hope he's not on the phone, but he is the brother of Alexi Lalas. But he's a brother doing his own thing and getting things done. I don't know if he likes hair bands like his brother Alexi. I should have asked him that. All right, that's going to do it tonight here. Lot to talk about. Wednesday, 6 o'clock Central Time, I've got John Aiello. He is the owner of Chesnea in Serie C, who just gained promotion to Serie B. He's based out of New Jersey. He's an American owner, so we're going to have him on. Tigres supporters group members are going to come in the studio because they know they got Inter Miami and Tigres this summer, and we're going to talk about their supporters group and just the impact that Tigres fans make and are in and around Houston. For Guillermo Lazo Romero, for Vicente, don't forget, Twitter, Instagram, @GlennDavisSoc, YouTube, Soccer Matters, and remember, 6 o'clock Central Time this Wednesday, Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5, presented by the Daspit Law Firm.